Okay.
All right, here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this short attention span webinar. This week and next week, Kelly, we are, for a change, going to have some fun
Thank
because
goodness.
because these are so boring, you know. My daughter Emma, by the way, said that she and I are the two funniest people on Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah, she declared that this morning. So you want to connect with us on Facebook? It's Bill
Yeah,
and
because
Emma.
I'm only friends with Maddie, so I gotta find Emma.
No, you got to
Okay.
find Emma. Emma's out of
Okay.
control. She is so funny.
Awesome.
So yes, and that's where the lobster fairy came from the other day. So that
Oh,
picture
very
of that
cool.
in
Okay.
Newburgh, yeah, that was my lobster fairy showed up. It's good to have
Great.
friends. Let's
Yeah.
talk today about 5 things your customer would tell you if given the chance. Now let me back this up. Let me tell you what happened. I produced a blog on this, by the way, and you can read the entire letter. The blog is coming out on Tuesday, December 18th. All right, and that by the way is the date that Kelly and I are recording these two webinars. So this blog uh, came out today, and what I had done is I had done some research on looking for a blog subject, and this link popped up. It was a letter from a restaurant owner in Provo, Utah, and the restaurant is named the Old Town Grill, and it was a letter from the owner to salespeople, an open letter. So you
Hmm.
got to go look up this blog and read the whole thing. But it gave me an idea, not just for the blog, but an idea for a short attention span webinar. These are 5 things that a customer would say to you if he or she could. Number one is care. And that really, Kelly, that surprised me. You know,
I mean, it's kind of sad because that there's actually a sense out there that we don't.
yeah,
So, and again, I think it's almost like another way to look at this is it's things they wish. It's almost as if we were granted the ability to read their minds. It's things they want us to know.
okay.
It's not that they're necessarily going to come right out and tell you these things, but they want you to know that these are the things that are important to them. And these things, I haven't necessarily seen them all, but I'm betting you these are pretty universal. Just as think about yourself as a consumer. And imagine every time you walk into a store and get completely ignored by somebody, isn't what's going through your head, I wish someone cared? I mean,
Mm.
it's pretty fundamental.
As a sales rep, how do we show that? How do we sell that?
I think there's a number of ways to do it, but it's in communication. It's
Mm.
actually saying it. I mean, what's wrong with saying your business is important to me? I care about
There
you.
you go.
What's wrong with being, completely honest about it? I mean, that's
Or
that's what
or
I would do.
or asking him about how's business.
Mhm.
Taking notes, remembering things, being a good person, being a good friend, building a relationship. I think these are all basic fundamentals,
Mhm.
right? Next one, meet me halfway. Now, what this guy was saying was, I feel as though you're trying to sell me something. And what I want is I want you to get more engaged in this. I want you more involved. I want to feel as though you are my partner and I'm not just your customer. Now, there again, how do I prove that, Kelly? How do I sell that?
Well, to me, this just vindicates what we've been saying for the last 3 years, Bill, which is when you take the approach of a consultative salesperson who's a problem solver,
Hmm.
you don't ever take the approach of selling something. This isn't about selling something.
Hmm.
This is about being a connector between a problem and a solution. So again, if your approach is tell me about what's been going on in your business lately, what do you think the problems and challenges are? Listen intently, not with the need to respond, but with the need to understand, and then respond accordingly with a solution that helps to solve the problem that you've just been told about.
Okay.
That's what he's talking about, which is, be a resource for me, not a vendor.
Right. Okay. Number 3, I love this. Prove it. Now, what he said in
Hmm.
the article is in the first 3 months that we were open, we spent $10,000 on sales reps that came in and said, "Hey, here's something you should spend money on." And what they didn't do was they didn't follow through, they being the customer, didn't follow up and say, "How do we know?" How do
Mhm.
we know? Can you give me a guarantee that if I don't get people from the college coming in because I've bought space in your newspaper, do I get my money back? What can you do to stand behind what it is you're selling? And that, if you read the article, if you read the blog, that was one of his major points. He felt ripped off.
Hmm.
You know, fourth point, Kelly, is something that you've been dancing all around. Get to know me. Very important point. Now, you and I always say that there's three reasons why people buy from us, right? Any given
Right.
salesperson. Number one, sales ability. Number two, the rep's knowledge of his or her own products. Number three, the rep's knowledge of me. They care that you care. And here again, Kelly, don't you think this is a human level, right? I want to know that you've got kids, the age of the kids,
Yeah.
the name it. This is pretty old school stuff.
Right. I mean,
It's not
it is
magic.
that personal stuff, but it also does kind of come into the, what we've been talking about business growth strategy is it is the personal, but it's also how's, as you said, how's business going? I mean, these are all very interdependent kind of concepts, but how's business going? Who's your target market? What are you trying? What's the experience been? Those kinds of things all kind of fall into that knowledge of customer, which is,
Right.
the number three reason people buy from you.
And then finally, follow up. This was his last piece. He said, the funny thing was, he said in this article, the only marketing medium that worked was print.
Hmm.
That's it. He said, we printed up 15,000 flyers, as he calls them. He said, that's what's worked. All of the business, he said, 100% of the business that we get comes from those flyers. But not even the printing salesperson called me to say, how's it going?
Wow.
What can I do to change it? What might work? He said, that's the other piece. You know that your customer had a trade show. You printed up the material. How tough is it for you to pick up the phone and call and say, how'd the show go? Isn't
Yeah.
that caring? Isn't that meeting somebody halfway? Isn't that getting
It
to know
is.
someone?
People may be afraid though, Bill. They may think, I don't want to know because I don't want to hear bad news.
True.
Maybe the rep didn't call because they didn't want to hear that it didn't work,
True.
because while that could leave that the fact that whatever they tried didn't work might leave a negative taste in the customer's mouth, the next step is let's try something else. What else can we try? Because again, if you've mutually agreed on whatever that strategy is, it's not necessarily the sales rep's fault that it didn't work,
Right.
but it's really about post-mortem. Get in there, find out what happened, find out how they executed, and figure out what could be done differently next time.
So, Kelly, this week we talked about 5 things a customer will tell you. Guess what we're going to talk about next week, Kelly?
Ooh, sounds like the secret.
5 things a customer won't tell you. So, insert evil laugh here, and we will talk to you all next week. Kelly, thanks very much.
Thanks, Bill.